Agents showed us this photo of that same protest from Tuesday, which they say is the same guy covered in red paint and flipping up double middle fingers at the agents on the roof. Then this was him last night in the intake area, though. We witnessed him visibly shaking and appearing terrified as we watched federal agents process him after his arrest. He was pleading with agents, saying he is just a social media influencer.
The story is always the same, right? Commit an act, right? Because for the backstory, people who don't know what happened here, basically this guy, vandalized the I think it was an ICE facility or a federal facility and painted it red. Basically, this guy was Antifa, who is a domestic terrorist organization. But yeah, basically he got held and he got locked up. But isn't it crazy how the crime, like, not even the crime, the actions are always the same, and the cycle is always a recurring theme, right? A domestic terrorist or one of these people, one of these leftists, right, go and they impede investigations. Where in this case, this guy vandalizes the ICE building. They get caught, and then all of a sudden now, oh, I'm just a social media influencer. I'm just a social media influencer. Just like the lady who was chasing down that ICE vehicle with her car, running red lights and almost causing an accident, right? When pulled over, oh, I'm a mom. I have children. I'm just a mom. When she finds out that she's about to face the potential ramifications of her actions and she's actually going to be held accountable and she's going to face consequences, now it's, oh, I'm a mom. But before your kids didn't really matter, right? Your kids, you didn't think about your kids when you were driving and following that ICE officer. Just like this guy wasn't thinking about his social media career or his social media account, right? He wasn't thinking about how that could, the potential ramification that he could face. Because, vandalizing an ICE building and, flipping off the officers, that's totally fine. I mean, well, flipping off the officers is fine, but vandalizing the building is not fine. But, none of that was going through his head when he was doing that. I mean, how he even got to that decision to think that vandalizing an ICE facility is just just crazy, how he thinks that's not illegal. But this happens every single time. They commit the crime and then all of a sudden it's, I'm a victim. I'm just a social media influencer. That's not gonna help you, buddy. And but that man is shooketh out of his soul right now. I wonder what happened to him. Let me know in the comments if y'all know what happened to him.
Man, I had to stand out in the rain for this one. Why ain't nobody speaking up about Kamala Harris saying that the Epstein files, they knew about them, they chose not to release them, even when the DOJ wanted to, because they knew it would backfire on them and it would hinder the election process trying to get Biden in office.
Everybody knew, like everybody with common sense and a brain, like, and a good head on their shoulders, understood the reason why the Kamala Harris or the Biden administration never released the Epstein files. They were saying, oh, Trump is in these files. Trump's doing this, Trump doing that. They had 4 years. They were sitting on those files for 4 years, saying that Trump is a pedophile and Trump is a this, Trump is a that. He was hanging out with Epstein. He was Epstein's best friend. Then if all that is true and an election is coming up and that is your, I don't know, like your ace card that you can play to win the game once and for all, right? That's the chess piece that that's your checkmate. Why would you never ever play that move? It is very simple. It's because, yes, even though Trump he is in the Epstein files, he's not in the Epstein files in the capacity and in the way that they want him to be. He's not in the files in the capacity that they're leading the public to believe that he's in the files. Yes, they were friends, but I'm pretty sure the court documents came out and Trump was actually the one who actually low-key turned on Jeffrey Epstein because he was on some weird stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's very simple. They understood that if they had released the Epstein files, they would have, their audience, the Democrat Party would have known that their voters would have known that they've been capping this whole time. Oh, we have this on Trump. Trump did this on the planes. He was on the manifesto. He was on the black box. He was on the recordings. He was hanging out with Epstein. Incredible. And it's very simple. Anybody with a brain understands that that's the reason why they didn't release those documents. It's because they didn't, they didn't do justice as to what they wanted to actually happen. Trump wasn't on there in the way that they wanted him to be. And that is the very reason why they never ever released the files. Because if they had, that would have been like the perfect checkmate. You want to become President Donald Trump? All right, wait. We're going to wait till the election and then we're just going to play this card right here and then you're going to be cooked. Nobody's going to vote for you. But they couldn't have done that because He just wasn't on the files in that way. But, just another way of, people on the left and Democrats using, people's emotions and their voters' emotions to get the best of them and to actually get votes when election time comes around.
There's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy, and they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're.
Well, the video cut off, but basically he said that, the reason why he was the biggest face there, or the biggest name there, was because, he's a gay black man in America. Now, honestly, I don't know how this guy calls himself a Christian, because one of the core, values of being a Christian is that homosexuality is actually a sin. So, so it's actually, you know what, Don Lemon, you are right. You definitely do not practice that type of Christianity, because the Christianity that you practice is phony, because you cannot be homosexual as a Christian, right? That's literally one of the core beliefs of Christianity. I know these people nowadays, right? They're flipping it around, and you have these churches, bringing in the LGBTQ flag, and they're changing genders and telling kids that they should be able to do whatever the hell they want, and they can change their genders, and they're 99. Nope, nope. The OG Christianity, bruv. Homosexuality is a sin, and you cannot change your gender. There's two genders, male, female. So he is right, right? He is right in a way that that's definitely not the type of Christianity that he practices. And of course, you always have to throw in that victim card, because Don Lemon is black, right? They're white supremacists. They think the country belongs to them, all because these people are practicing their religion. By the way, this guy went to their church and interrupted their service. I'm pretty sure people have seen that video online, but yet still, these people are the people who are white supremacists, because they're holding a service, right? The congregation is there, and you go in there and you interrupt their service. They're kicking you out and telling you that you're disrespectful to Jesus Christ, you're disrespectful to the congregation, you're disrespectful to the service. But no, they're kicking you out. But no, because you're black and because you're a gay man in America, committing a sin, by the way, in terms of Christianity, no, they're the white supremacist. Makes perfect sense.